Tipton, can you hear us okay? Thank you. Is Mr. Walshe there on the video? I just don't see him. I don't need to see him, but is he there? Yeah, the sheriff's office is there. Just go. Here we go. Great, thanks a lot. Let's start with identification. Let's start with the phone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Lisa Bailey for the Commonwealth. I'm at the table right now. There are various other assistant district attorneys who represent the trial teams on the various cases who are also present in the court.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. First, I speak on behalf of Mr. King as well as Mr. Johnson. And I am standing in for Attorney Cataldo with respect to the co-defendant in Mr. Johnson's case.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Scapici on behalf of Mr. King and Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Mr. King in the back, okay?
Attorney Joseph Krosky Jr. on behalf of Giovanni De Los Santos, standing next to me in the white shirt.
Okay, very good. Mr. Johnson is here.
He is. He's in the purple shirt.
And then on the Zoom is Mr. Tipton. Mr. Tipton, could you identify yourself for the record? And Mr. Walshe is here. Mr. Walshe, can you hear us? You can just wave or whatever. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Tipton, we still have to fix your microphone. Still tough to hear you, sir. All right, where do things stand, Attorney Bailey?
Your Honor, I've had the opportunity to have further conversations with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I can report the following to the court. Ordinarily, the U.S. Attorney's Office would have 2 weeks to reply to the motion that the Commonwealth filed in federal court. We've had some productive conversations, and we're hopeful that we've reached an agreement that will narrow the issues for some period of time. They will be filing a response to our motion in court, seeking modification of the federal protective order, which will do a number of different things. The first thing, they will be seeking a modification that will permit the release of the previous court orders so that this court can review those orders. The second thing that the motion for modification will seek is permission for the Norfolk District Attorney's Office to review the remaining confidential materials that were provided to the Reed and the Reed prosecution and defense teams. So I want to be clear at this point for the purposes of the record that at this point in time, all of the Proctor chats or communications have been produced to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office outside of protective order, and the Norfolk District Attorney's Office has provided those to all of the defendants who are part of this motion and will continue to provide those to other defendants. However, that left the remainder of the confidential materials which we had not been allowed to review. So the motion will seek permission for us to be allowed to review those additional materials. I would characterize those.
That's the motion that you filed before.
We filed a motion for that, seeking that among other things. The U.S. Attorney's Office will file their own motion.
And they'll file a motion in accord with yours?
No, because there are what I would characterize as 2 groups of remaining materials. There are grand jury materials and there are non-grand jury materials. Their motion will allow us to review both sets of materials. We will be permitted to produce Rule 14 materials from the set of records that I would characterize as non-grand jury materials. We will not need to seek further court order or permission from the U.S. Attorney's Office if we review the non-grand jury materials and find Rule 14 material that is relevant to the other matters. We're calling them the other matters, these cases here that we're discussing. We do not have an agreement with regard to the grand jury matters. So if we review the 14 material. At that point in time, we would have to seek either a TUI or go back to federal court and file an additional motion before Judge Casper. The third thing, this is my understanding that the third thing that the U.S. Attorney's Office motion or response, however you want to look at it, will seek is a status on this matter before Judge Casper in 45 days. So if Judge Casper agrees with that, we will not have a return or destroy deadline that is pushing these matters at this point in time.
And does the U.S. Attorney's Office also agree to the tolling during the period between now and when Judge Casper decides?
Yes, they had already
agreed to that.
agreed to
So
that.
let me just see if I can recap.
Thank you.
As best as I understand it. There are two types of materials that have not yet been produced to the defendants in this case.
That have not been reviewed by the Norfolk Attorney's Office and have not been produced for these cases.
All right, so let me just go slow here.
Sorry.
Certain documents have already been turned over to these defendants under protective order,
Yes.
which came from the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Yes.
But leaving those aside, of the materials that are part of the confidential material from the federal court, there are two categories. One is grand jury materials and the other is non-grand jury materials.
Yes.
You haven't yet defined what you mean by grand jury materials. Presumably, if the grand jury took testimony, that would include transcripts of testimony. I don't know if the grand jury issued subpoenas. I don't know if you're considering subpoenaed material to the grand jury to be grand jury materials. But let's leave that distinction aside. Whatever constitutes grand jury materials, there's some other stuff that is non-grand jury materials that was collected by the U.S. Attorney's Office in connection with this investigation related to the Reed case. And what you have is an agreement from the U.S. Attorney's Office that as to the non-grand jury materials collected by the U.S. Attorney's Office and produced as confidential material in connection with the Reed case, the non-grand jury materials, even the U.S. Attorney's Office would agree to allow you to review and to determine whether anything in that material should be produced in King or Johnson or Del Santos or any other of the cases that involve Trooper Proctor's investigation. As to the grand jury material, they still are opposing your ability to produce any of that material and opposing your ability to review any of that material. Is that correct?
No.
No.
We are allowed to review those materials in order to determine whether, in our opinion, there is Rule 14 material.
Okay. So at this point, they're taking the position that the non-grand jury material may be reviewed by you and turned over without further order, although I guess it's subject to their production of the documents to you other than through the, under the protective order.
I think that I want to, we don't have this finalized yet, but my impression was that we would be able to use the documents that we already hold.
Okay. And are they taking the position, the U.S. Attorney's Office taking the position that notwithstanding the protective order issued by Judge Casper, they can make that determination unilaterally?
No.
So they're seeking a modification of the protective order to allow them to give you the authorization to review it separately?
Yes, so this is all subject to Judge Casper's approval.
All right. And then with respect to the grand jury material, however that category of universe is defined, the U.S. Attorney's Office is taking position, at least in front of Judge Casper, that you can review it, and all the other prosecutors involved in this case, that the other cases, the related cases, can review it and make a determination as to whether it contains anything that needs to be produced as exculpatory evidence, impeachment evidence under Rule 14.
I don't know that it will be all the prosecutors in the office. I think there will be at least 2 prosecutors in the office, 2 prosecutors probably who have already signed the acknowledgement, who will be able to do the review.
Okay. And the U.S. Attorney's Office is asking for a status conference in 45 days. Presumably, Judge Casper might decide it much sooner than that.
I think what they are hoping is that they will file a motion, Judge Casper will act upon the pleadings, and then the 45 she adopts this
Well,
proposal
what's the 45 days?
for a status to see where we are. I don't know how long this process is going to take.
We mean a status on the return of documents after this review has taken place.
Right, well, I don't know if we'll be able to do the review in 45 days. I'm optimistic, but, you know, anything can happen. And so I think the suggestion was this way we don't have this deadline that is just pushing everyone. And so then we can see if we've been able to complete the review, if we can continue to discuss the issues that remain, or if there needs to be further litigation or what needs to happen.
Okay, so we are making progress, incremental progress. I have not received any new filings from you or from anybody else between the last hearing and this hearing. So all of this is being reported to me for the first time orally here in court. Maybe it's true also for defense counsel hearing it for the first time here in court. Does defense counsel have any thoughts, concerns, issues?
May I,
I'm sure you have thoughts and concerns and issues.
Okay.
But you know, my gut feeling here is we're going to need another hearing on this. And I'm not sure that less than a week, you know, or a week's time, anything longer than a week might not be appropriate, because we don't know what Judge Casper is going to do. We don't know if she's going to adopt the tolling. We don't know.
that's exactly
So-
what my point was. What if Judge Casper says no?
Right.
Then we're out.
It seems to me unlikely that she would say no, but I don't know, and I can't assume the conclusion here. So,
So, is there, I guess, can I ask a question then?
sure.
Is there any agreement between the Commonwealth and the U.S. Attorney's Office not to destroy the documents until Judge Casper makes a decision? And can we have a day after that decision to get in here and talk to you?
Well, I've always said that we would not return or destroy before Judge Casper made a decision, and the U.S. Attorney's Office has agreed with that. I do want to say that I'm out of state next week, so I would be asking to go the following week. If something comes up, I can get on Zoom if necessary, but
So the only concern I have, and I'm never going to interfere with anyone's vacation. The only concern I have is if Judge Casper makes a decision tomorrow or Monday that says this order isn't getting extended for whatever reason, we are out of it. That's my concern. Because this order expires, the order that we have right now, I know there's an agreement between the Commonwealth and the U.S. Attorney's Office, but it's not their order, it's the judge's order. So if the judge says no on Friday or Monday, then what happens?
What do you think?
I will notify the court and I will get on Zoom if that happens.
Okay.
Judge, just on behalf of Mr. De Los Santos, again, in theory, this does sound like progress. I do share the concern if a decision comes out from the federal court from Judge Casper. I'm comfortable enough with a 2-week date, with the caveat that if circumstances on the ground change and the landscape in federal court changes, that we could have this case advanced to address the court.
That's where I was coming down, okay, is put this on for a next hearing, August 27, 28, 29, something like that, convenient for the parties, dog days of August, with the additional order that upon a decision by Judge Casper, all parties, all defense counsel, and the court will be notified within 24 hours, so that we can accelerate proceedings on this case if need be before the 27, 28, 29.
Judge, I'm not available on the 27th because I have all day motion to suppress, motion to do trial hearing in Suffolk. I could move what I have on the 28th, make myself available if that works for the court and the parties.
The 28th and the 29th is better.
I'm here on the 28th.
Okay, so the 28th at what time?
At 2?
2?
Yeah, let's do 2 o'clock.
Sure. And may Mr. Johnson be here again?
Yes.
And I'll have Mr. King here.
Same with Mr. Dela Santos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Tipton, how do you look on the 28th of August?
I'm fine with you. If I can't, I'll trip on Zoom. If I need to be present, I'll be present.
Okay. Zoom will be an option for you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else we should take up?
I don't think so at this time, Judge. It looks like we're making some progress. And I feel confident now that the information isn't going to be destroyed by Monday. And if it is, we'll have an opportunity to speak to you before that happens.
Okay. Mr. Tipton?
Yes.
The only thing I'm going to say, I'm not going to belabor it, we'll correct it on next one, but we haven't, in my opinion, we have a trial date coming up in October. If we're talking about 45 days to add things, and we're talking about grand juries, and we're talking about 2 weeks, I'm just putting the bug in everybody's ear that we can have an trial date, and everything needs to be done expeditiously in the Walshe status.
The Commonwealth is mindful of the Walshe trial date and has expressed to the U.S. Attorney's Office that we are anxious to bring that case to trial and do not want there to be any delay, and we will be acting accordingly.
And Judge, the only other concern I have is the 2 attorneys that are going to be authorized. I would assume that they would have conversations with the attorneys that are assigned to the case so that they know what issues.
I'm not going to micromanage the district attorney's office's obligation to produce all exculpatory evidence. They will have to bring somebody up to speed so that if they are limited in who can review the capital C, capital M, confidential materials as defined in the various orders, that those people are in fact up to speed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Sure.
Stand up.
27th at 2 p.m. 28, sorry, 28 at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Could I have Mr. Buckley brought in? Yeah, you're all set. Mr. Walsh is all set. Thank you.